double maker. I've been a late night player. I've been broke as a joke. I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing. Popping, locking, stopping, let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop, it's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school. We think we're so cool. We take it back to the past. We gonna act a fool. Up jumps the middle finger, make my hit.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fan-atical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio, Comcast Cable Channel 23, downtown Danbury, Connecticut, on this first day of fall. September 22nd. Can you believe that? Stunning. We joked about a month and a half ago, maybe a little bit more, that we were done for the summer. We'd see you in the fall. We thought we'd actually get here maybe a little bit before summer ended, but I guess that joke was no joke. We were gone for the rest of the summer, but we are back and we are in our regular time slot, 6:30 to 7.
We just about made it to both of us. We're a lot of things going on, between cheerleading and soccer and.
Let's just give the number, 203-792-4101. We are live, so if you've missed us terribly and you want to give us a call, see how we've been, what we've been up to, go ahead and call. And as Bob, my right-hand man, let's say hello there, Bob.
Hi, Scott.
Who walked in 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, I got Jenna's doing cheerleading, and Connor's doing soccer.
I got stuck in traffic, too.
Legion, so...
New Haven was a nightmare today, and so I barely made it in time. Funny story, Bob, I actually had a dream about us coming back to do the show the other night.
Yeah.
And in the dream, things went completely terrible.
Must have come true.
Here we were scrambling to get ourselves in our seats live, which is pretty much what happened in the dream. We pulled it off. We're here. We're ready to go. So Bob's show, I'm imagining, it's still on?
Yes.
Spotlight on?
Spotlight on, still on.
Tuesday nights at 9?
Yeah.
Wednesdays at 12?
Yeah, I've been doing stuff right now. I'm catching up on, sorry. I had been working with stuff with the fire department, so it's been keeping me busy, but I just finished the second half of Taste of Danbury, so.
Oh, okay. That was probably, I'm sure, a good event.
It was.
It was on the weekend of 9/11, which wasn't necessarily a great day to have it, but overall the turnout and everything went good.
It was better, I mean Sunday was better than Saturday. Saturday was really a very quiet day, and there was a lot less vendors. Mm-hmm. The Danbury Westerners didn't have a booth this year, so.
Oh wow!
So we
no representation from the Westerners.
Yeah.
So Bob's got his show. You can check out what he's got going on, and Mike Toohey is here. Our director, and he's got his show Expose Cinema Friday nights at 9 and Wednesdays at 1. And Mike McFadden has also arrived fashionably late as well. So we were all scrambling to get here and get this show back on the road.
Strange Man?
No word from Strange Man.
Maybe he's up on the ledge.
I don't know. I think he's in his glory as he watches the Celtics race out to a pretty comfortable lead in the division right now with about 10 games.
Your Bo Sox are doing very well.
That they are. So we're ready. Obviously we were away. We got a couple pictures maybe to get to. It took a nice long road trip out west as I spent some time in Colorado, and I must say the weather out there was pretty nice. I know it was pretty hot and humid back here throughout the summer. The humidity was down and it was very comfortable the whole time. Here's some sights from the road as I dealt with a little traffic there in Chicago. There's a nice little creative shot I did in South Dakota. So I went north, Bob, on my trip. Took a little extra time than I usually would on this ride.
Right.
And as Mike just likes to blaze right through the pictures. Let it breathe, Mike. There is a view of...
Were you able to go to Mile High at all?
I did get down to Denver, went to Blue Moon Brewery, as a matter of fact, which is run by a man from Bethel, Connecticut, as a matter of fact. Yeah. John Legnard is the head brewmaster, was the head brewmaster of the Sandlot Brewery at Coors Field for years, ever since it opened. And they finally gave him his own brewery, restaurant, bar, right in Danbury. We went and checked it out. It was spectacular. Right there is a view of Fort Collins, the town that I stayed in. That was high atop Horsetooth Reservoir, as you can see looking down. in Colorado, it's all flat until you get to the foothills. So from that view, when I lived out there, I used to go up there and look. You could look basically straight out across the rest of east of Colorado and all the way into Nebraska, and probably farther beyond. It's just amazing how far you can see. But that was kind of an interesting shot. And now Mike is sitting on pictures. And there's another shot from a hike I did up to Grey Rock, which is a pretty cool area in Poudre Valley, Poudre Canyon, right up over the border in Wyoming.
Right.
Pretty cool place to go. But on the road trip out there, I went north, Bob, is what I was talking when he was showing those road shots. So I did get to see Chicago.
Right.
And then I went up into Wisconsin and into straight over through Minnesota and South Dakota.
Wow.
Which I had never seen, Wisconsin, Minnesota, or South Dakota, so that was pretty cool. And drove down through Wyoming into Colorado, so that was great. And here we got a nice shot. I did a ton of hiking through Rocky Mountain National Park. I actually camped out there for an evening as well.
You got some video of all this?
Well, I got a lot of photos, which I've been posting on Facebook, and we've got a few that they're showing right now. There's a great shot of the diamond. This was pretty much my view while camping. We had this just spectacular campsite that we scored the night that we were there. So that was pretty incredible, and the weather was unbelievable the day we were there. Perfect, clear evening.
All right.
The entire Milky Way was on full display overhead, and you could see basically every other star in the universe as well. When you get out into the wilderness and there's no illumination from light, you know, from cities or anything like that, you can see a ton more stars.
Yeah.
And it was a perfectly clear night. There's our old buddy, remember Silent Bill from when he sat in and joined us on the show?
Yes.
That's who I stayed with out there. He's doing a little climbing right there in a place called Vedauwoo, Wyoming, which was a really, really cool spot that we went to towards the end of the trip. Big group of climbers, and I took a bunch of pictures of that. So that was cool. We had a pretty good time overall throughout the whole time. And on the ride back, I went more southern. I went down through Kansas City, St. Louis, up through Louisville and Cincinnati, which I think this is a shot from there. Very cool city. Cincinnati looked pretty cool.
Did you get to see the Reds?
No, you know, I was just driving through, checking out the sights and viewing the scenes from the road. And then after that, went straight up through Ohio and back over through Pennsylvania and the usual. So it was a great trip. It was good to be away for a while and, you know, clear the head and have a good time with some old friends that I hadn't seen in a while out west. It's good to be back, and good to be back ready to get back into what we do here, talking sports, which there's plenty to talk about, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, well, we had our race arena reunion
that's
this past weekend, which was packed to the hilt. Hot in there, but it was
it was pretty humid this weekend.
We had over probably about 900 people there for the day.
Right.
You know, in that short 5 hours.
So that's good. And Dave King, our man here.
Yes, he was playing.
He played and he did his thing.
Yes, he did.
Played what, for a couple hours or so during that?
From like noon to 4.
Oh, he played for a long time.
Yeah.
Wow, he was cranking out the hits, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, he was.
And that's good that there was a good turnout. I didn't get a chance to get any pictures of that up for the show, but maybe we'll check that next week. But all right, so we got to get into the sports, Bob.
Yeah, lots happened in a month.
It sure has. I was a little concerned when I left looking at the Red Sox schedule. Would they have 43 out of their final 62 games on the road?
Right.
They have, fared, I'd say, pretty well.
Oh, yes.
In that time period. They have the best record in September right now. They've moved to their highest point of the season at 88-64. Winners of 7 straight, including 3 in a row on the road at Baltimore, following that 4-game sweep of the Yankees up in Fenway, Bob.
Not had a.
I mean, come on, Bob. Last Thursday, what do you think? The Yankees were up 5-1 in the 8th inning, 5-2 in the 9th inning with 2 outs. They were ready to pull 1 game within the wild card,
and then
3 from the division lead.
It's called choke.
And hello, can you say these 2 words? Han Ram.
Yeah.
Hanley Ramirez just comes up with the 3-run walk-off bomb, and then he proceeds to hit a home run in like every game throughout the course of the weekend.
Right.
To almost single-handedly take the series sweep on his back. Unbelievable performance by Hanley Ramirez. It used to be Manny Ramirez, the old famous Red Sox. Now Hanley has really stepped up his game and having a pretty solid season and coming on strong down the stretch as the Red Sox, with their top-rated offense in the league, outscoring opponents by a ton, are getting it done right now. They pulled to within a half a game of the number 2 seed Cleveland, who is 88-63 and dealing with some injuries, and Texas, who's been in first place, number 1 seed in the American League for quite a while, is sitting at 90-63. So 1.5 back from the top seed.
Yeah. And
the way the Red Sox are playing, they might catch both those teams, not only get maybe to the 2 seed, but all the way to the 1. Either way, they are now up 5 on Toronto in the division and 6 on the Orioles, and they're looking to put the back-to-back 4-game sweeps in the book tonight at Baltimore. We'll see if they can do that. Schedule makers, Bob, seriously?
I know.
4 in a row against the Yankees, followed by 4 in a row against the Orioles.
Yeah.
What happened to the good old days when all the series were 3 games? There's 4-game series left and right, and coming down the stretch as well.
Yeah.
The Red Sox have handled it, so I'm not going to complain, but seriously, Bob. So we were worried about their road woes and having to deal with that. They've come through that. Also, the things I was worried about previously was they didn't have any comeback wins late. They're doing that now. And they weren't winning 1-run games or low-scoring games. They're doing a little bit of that. Also, their starting pitching has really shaped up, and David Price has been on a roll. How about Rick Porcello, Bob? You think he's going to win this Cy Young?
It's possible.
21-4 he is now, best record in baseball, 3.08 ERA. He's got 13 straight starts where he's given up less than 3 runs a game, so he has got to be the front runner for the Cy Young in the American League at least. So we'll see what happens with that. And their bullpen, which was terrible in August, has now have the best ERA in September, in large part due to the return of Koji Uehara, who was out for a little while. And they were really having trouble in the 7th and 8th inning with him gone and trying to get to Kimbrel, who's pretty much lights out in save situations. And there we see Koji right there. Kimbrel's been lights out in save situations, but they had a lot of trouble getting to him in August, which caused them big problems. But they fixed all that. So Red Sox fans right now feeling pretty good. The postseason is a crapshoot, as we know. Do not want to play that 1-game playoff, but it looks like they got themselves free and clear of that. We'll see what happens with this wild card situation, Bob, because Toronto and Baltimore are struggling, keeping these other teams in it. You've got Detroit at 80-70 and Houston at 80-70, both 1 game out of that second wild card, right behind Baltimore. And Seattle, who beat Toronto yesterday in extra innings, 80-72, 2 games out. The Yankees, who should have been dead and buried by the Red Sox 4-game sweep at 79-72, sit 2.5 out. So these other teams, allowing them to stay in it. We talked about this when they added that second wild card, Bob.
Yeah, which is
really all it does is allow bad teams to stay in the race, right? All these teams are losing, yet they're still staying in the position to be in the playoffs.
Right, and it doesn't make sense.
All right, just a couple more things on the Red Sox. We mentioned the Cy Young situation. What about the MVP race, Bob? I mean, you have to give serious consideration to Big Papi.
Right.
318 batting average, 121 RBIs, 36 home runs, and 47 doubles, which leads the league.
Right.
Big Papi leads the league in doubles, Bob.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a great way for him to go out.
His final season at the age of 40, just doing it all. Lately, he's hitting for deep home runs to dead center field, which just shows he is locked in completely. But the MVP race might come down to a teammate in him, as Mookie Betts, also with the 318 batting average, 108 RBIs, 31 home runs himself, 40 doubles, 203 hits, 116 runs scored, 25 stolen bases, plus he'll probably win a Gold Glove for his defensive ability in right field. I mean, they got 2 legitimate MVP candidates right there. So that's the scene in the American League. in the National League, Bob, your Mets looked like they were almost dead and buried a little while back.
They were, but they got some.
They got kind of hot.
They got some life back.
They've struggled a little bit this week, however, not doing well against the Braves.
No.
And they sit in a three-way tie for the 2 wild card spots with St. Louis and San Francisco. 80 and 72, all three of those teams are. They're nowhere near catching the Nats. Nationals will win the division. They're 9 up on the Mets at 89 and 63. The Cubs
already clinched.
Yeah, they already clinched, and they do remain the top team in all of baseball. They'll have home field advantage throughout. Well, actually, the All-Star game decided that. That's right. So the American League won.
Right.
So the Cubs will not have home field advantage if they get to the World Series. But they do sit at 97 and 55.
It would be interesting to see the Cubs and the Red Sox for a World Series.
It almost happened in 2003. Remember, they were both 5 outs away from getting that done. We'll see if we can get a repeat of that excitement.
Oldest ones in baseball would be a heck of a game.
It would be pretty exciting, I'm sure. And the Dodgers are also the front runner in the West at 86 and 66, 6 up on the Giants. All right, here's the schedule remaining for not only your Mets, but your other teams they're fighting. Home against the Phillies, at the Marlins, and at the Phillies. So not too bad. Marlins tough, Phillies, they'll give them, some effort.
Right.
But, I mean, they should be able to win most of those games. Cardinals at the Cubs, who have already clinched. Right. So I don't know how much they're playing for.
Yeah.
Home against the Reds and Pirates, 2 division rivals who haven't really had great season. But the Pirates, are right around 500. They're a decent team. Giants at San Diego, home for Colorado, home for the Dodgers. The Dodgers would love to knock them out in that final weekend if they can. So we'll see what happens there. We got McFadden in there. Maybe he can speak in your ear. What does he think about the Mets as we talk about what's going on? Has he got any opinions there? Does he like your chances in a 1-game playoff? Does he think they're going to even make the playoffs? Your pitching is really roughed up with the injuries.
How about him come out for a second?
I don't know how much time we got. Maybe he can just give you a little shout in the ear. Does he like your chances or not?
You like our chances, Mike?
He's talking to Bob.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see what Bob translates to us.
He says he thinks we have a good shot and play it in the playoffs.
Who's going to play the 1 game? Who's going to pitch the 1 gamer?
Who's going to pitch?
Syndergaard. All right. We'll see. What's up with Jay Bruce?
I don't know what's up with Jay Bruce.
He's getting benched, and he's getting pinch hit for.
Yeah.
He's batting under 100, 175 since the trade? He's worse than Mark Teixeira.
It could be worse. We could have Tim Tebow come up and.
Oh my God! They signed Tim Tebow.
Yeah, for instructional league.
That I had forgotten about that. I tried intentionally to forget all about that, Bob.
Yeah. So
what are they doing signing Tim Tebow? Tim Tebow has turned himself into a complete joke and a complete
But they sold out of jerseys.
I used to have sympathy for Tebow because the last time he was a starter, he led the Broncos to the playoffs and a big playoff win. And I didn't think he got a fair shake in the NFL. Now I have no sympathy for him at all. He's a complete joke. And then the Mets go and sign him.
Yeah.
So what does that say about the Mets?
Instructional league, Hey, it is what it is.
What is he going to pull an A-Rod?
Yeah.
He's got A-Rod's job. He's instructing people.
Yeah. Instructing them how to be a.
And then we got to hear Tim Tebow's views on Colin Kaepernick.
Oh yeah.
Like, who cares what Tim Tebow thinks about anything?
Right.
Why is he the voice that we need to hear as to whether or not Colin Kaepernick taking a knee or not is acceptable? Which, by the way, I do believe it is. If you don't kneel for something, you might stand for anything, is what I might say about that situation. It is your right to protest. That's what this country's based on. Anyways, all right, speaking of the NFL, with all their protesters out there.
Yeah, all these knees.
Taking some knees, raising fists, social awareness. It's needed in this country, unfortunately. That's just the way it goes, and people do have their right to protest. All right, in the NFL, we got a big game tonight, Bob. The Patriots 2-0. Smoke and mirrors, perhaps, or was it Jimmy Garoppolo getting it done? He certainly did in Game 1 everybody stunned by that win out in the desert of Arizona. Looked real good in that game. Defense played very well. A couple turnovers was the only reason why the Cardinals were even in that game. Patriots got the drive late by Garoppolo and the kick to win it. Unfortunately, and there we see action from that game as we go back to the game from this past weekend against the Dolphins. Raced out to that huge lead. He couldn't miss. He was carving up the defense, and then down goes the quarterback, and he goes down hard. Oh, hurts so bad as he took that shot, landed right on his shoulder. He's out for the rest of that game, and he is out officially for tonight as they will go to the rookie, Jacoby Brissett, out of North Carolina State. Originally a Florida Gator, as a matter of fact, but he transferred, had a pretty good career for NC State. You know, NC State has produced some quarterbacks in this league. Who's the guy out in San Diego? I can't think of his name right now.
How many minutes?
The quarterback for the Chargers. Why I can't think of his name, I don't know. And you're talking to the guys in the crew. Any help from my guys, my sports people on the team? San Diego Chargers quarterback.
San Diego Chargers quarterback.
Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
He was an NC State guy. A couple other guys have come through that NC State program over the years, so maybe Jacoby Brissett. And this game is at home. It's against the Texans, who we know have a good defense. So we'll see what happens in tonight's game. I think it's going to be tough for the Patriots to win with their third-string quarterback as we wait for Brady to return from the just unbelievable 4-game suspension, which is an absolute atrocity of all atrocities. Yeah, total joke. Just an outrage of epic proportions. But they will see if they can go to 3-0. You know, they beat up on the Dolphins. Dolphins scored some points late, so it got a little bit closer than what we wanted with the big lead they had. But still, the running game has looked very good. LeGarrette Blount's back from injury. He looks sharp. And, you know, I think their defense is pretty solid as well. Houston doesn't have a great offense. They have some weapons. Brock Osweiler, the new man in Houston, as he bolted from Denver and is running things for the Texans. But we don't really know if he's any good or not. I think they'll probably have some revenge on their mind. Remember the game against the Broncos last year?
Right.
With the officials giving the game to the Broncos. And, you know, Osweiler was the benefactor of that. So they'll look to get in his face, I'm sure, tonight in New England.
The Jets are not having a...
Well, you know, 1-1.
Yeah.
Not bad. It's better than 0-2, which a couple teams are, like the Bills, the team that they beat, and Sexy Rexy Ryan. So Sexy Rexy Ryan's team scores 30-something points against the Jets.
Right.
And they give up, you know, 30 extra points to lose that game. So what was his response to that? Fire the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, how about fire your brother. The defensive coordinator, who has no business having a job in this league.
Right.
Everywhere he goes, the Saints had the worst defense in the history of football last year. The Cowboys had the worst defense ever a couple years ago when he was at the helm. So why does this guy get a job? Because his brother?
Yeah.
I mean, Sexy Rexy's got to go.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to fire both those guys soon if this continues the way things are going. So the Jets 1-1. They had a big lead, blew it, then came back over the Bills. They blew that game against the Bengals.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure McFadden wasn't happy about that. And they are at Kansas City for the 4 o'clock game this weekend on Sunday. KC's been a little bit shaky at 1-1, had a big comeback against the Chargers, but didn't look good this weekend against the Texans. Other teams that are 2-0 in the AFC, as well as the Patriots. Steelers look pretty good. Texans, not too sure how good they look at 2-0. Broncos, again, surprising beating the Panthers. Nobody thought they would beat them on opening night, but whatever. Their defense is playing well, and they beat up on the Colts, who don't look good at 0-2. The Ravens as well, against bad competition. Big comeback against the Browns this weekend. They are 2-0. Your Giants in the NFC, Bob, also 2-0.
Yes. Oh, jeez.
And your phone is on? Is that somebody calling to say, yes, the Giants are 2-0?
Something for the fire department.
Squeaked by the Saints.
Yeah.
How many points they score in this game? They can't score any points, Bob.
I know.
And they really, you know, kind of just barely got by the backup quarterback-led Dallas Cowboys as well on opening night.
Right.
Cowboys did them a little favor by not running out of bounds late in that game when they could have set up for the game-winning field goal. and they are home for the Deadskins.
Yeah.
The defending NFC East champion. Redskins 0-2, not looking very good. Finger pointing at the quarterback. Eagles with their rookie quarterback at 2-0, Bob.
Right.
Vikings 2-0, but they're now without Adrian Peterson. They're already down to a new quarterback who they traded for from the Eagles, Sam Bradford. So we'll see how that goes. Not too many teams 2-0 in the NFC. A whole bunch of teams 1-1. Only a few really good-looking games this weekend. Broncos versus Bengals, Vikings versus Panthers, and Steelers versus Eagles. College football, UConn with a gritty, gutty win, 13-10 over Virginia this weekend. Got that win late. They moved to 2-0. They won a tough game against Maine opening weekend. Lost a really tough game where they came back, Bob.
Right.
Did you watch that Navy game? I watched a decent amount of that, actually, even in Colorado. They were down 21-0, came back to take a 24-21 lead, only to lose it late against Navy. But defensively, they play well. Offensively, they need improvement. Alabama is number 1. Ohio State number 2. Louisville, their highest ranking ever. And as I said, I drove right through Louisville. Pretty good looking city. Right. Saw the Muhammad Ali Museum as well. Nice looking place. They are number 3 after their beatdown of Florida State. Worst home defeat in Florida State history.
Right.
They put up 60+ points on Florida State. Michigan at number 4. Michigan plays Penn State this weekend. Penn State has some offense on that team at 2-1. Clemson at number 5. And Houston in the AAC, also with the big win to start the season against Oklahoma. They had a big win against Cincinnati. Actually, the day I was driving through, I'm glad I didn't stop. Traffic would have been a nightmare if I tried to check out the town because it was a Thursday night game and I was right there. But Houston pulled away late over Cincinnati. Speaking of Oklahoma, Bob, who got crushed, right, opening weekend?
Yeah.
And they've lost another game since. They're 1-2. They're still ranked.
That don't make sense.
This is why college football is a complete and utter joke. Other games this weekend, Clemson at Georgia Tech tonight. That's an okay game. My family was down there actually this weekend at Clemson. How about this little tidbit, Bob? That game was such a blowout. They played one of these low-tier teams, right? They were killing them at halftime. They turned it into a high school football game. They shortened the quarters from 15 minutes to 12 minutes and went with a running clock. This is college football, Bob. This is not high school football. That is outrageous that they did that. Who cares what the score is? It's still college football.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, number 11, at number 8, Michigan State, which knocked Notre Dame to 1-2
Are we live
this
next
weekend.
week?
I believe we're live. I got to go check the schedule. We were all running late today as we got here, so we'll find out after the show what our schedule is coming up. Hopefully. Hopefully everybody didn't miss us too much. Maybe you did. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you're watching the show. Maybe you're not. Maybe we've lost all our fans. Maybe some of you come back. Who knows? But we'll be here going through now through the fall. So thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you hopefully next week.
All right. Take care.